Hey everybody, it's Michelle with Florida Keys Birding, and today we're talking about the Rose-breasted Grosbeak, a migration journey through Florida. Have you ever had one of those moments where nature just knows you need a little pick-me-up? Well, that's what happened to me this year during fall migration. I was stuck at home, I was sick, and I was totally bummed about missing the best migration days when out of nowhere I was sitting on my back porch and a rose-breasted grosbeak landed right in front of me. It was like a sign from God, like, hey, you're not forgotten. And honestly, that moment made me appreciate just how incredible these little birds really are. So today let's talk about the epic journey of the rose-breasted grosbeak, where to find them in Florida, and some cool migration facts. Alright, so let's break it down. Rose-breasted grosbeaks are long-distance travelers. They don't chill in one spot all year, nope. They breed up north in places like Canada and the northern US, and when the weather cools, they pack their bags and they head their way down south to Central and South America. We're talking Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, and for them, Florida is a highway rest stop, a place to grab a snack, rest up, and keep it moving. If you're in Florida during spring or fall, you got a solid chance of spotting one. So let's talk about spring migration. Late April to early May, they're heading north. When spring rolls in, these guys are moving north to their breeding grounds. If you're in Florida, especially South Florida, keep an eye out in places like this. The Everglades and Big Cypress National Park, wetlands and forests make a perfect pit stop. The Florida Keys, which are full of fruiting trees and shelter. Urban parks and backyards, yep, if you've got trees, berries, or feeders, you just might get a surprise visitor. They don't stay long though, just a few days to a week before taking off north again. So let's talk about fall migration. Late September to October, heading south. Now fall is when things get real. They're heading south, gearing up for the long flight to the tropics, but this time they tend to hang out a little bit longer in Florida before continuing on. Where are the best places to spot them? Same as spring, Everglades, Florida Keys, and backyards with feeders. This is the best chance to see them. They're fueling up for the longest leg of their journey. So how do you identify the rose-breasted grosbeak? Let's talk ID. Males are jet black with a white belly and a bright red splash on the chest, like they just dipped into a bucket of paint. Females are more demure looking. They're brown, streaky sparrow-like, distinct with a white eyebrow stripe and the chunky pale beak. That thick beak is what makes them grosbeaks, perfect for cracking seeds. So do they fly solo or in groups? Unlike some birds that migrate in giant flocks, grosbeaks tend to fly solo or in small groups. They mostly migrate at night to avoid predators and stay cool, then spend daytime eating and resting. So if you spot one during the day, lucky you. That bird is chillin' and refueling before its next long-haul flight. Here's a couple fun facts about the rose-breasted grosbeak. They fly 50 to 100 miles per day during migration. Seriously, talk about endurance. They might be using stars and the Earth's magnetic field to navigate. They basically have a built-in GPS. And their song sounds like a sweeter, more musical robin. Males love to sing during migration season. So why does migration matter in reference of conservation? Migration is brutal, and these birds need safe places to stop along the way. But habitat loss in Florida, especially in places like the Everglades, is making things a lot harder for them. How can we help? Plant native trees and shrubs. They love berries, especially mulberry trees. Skip the pesticides. Less bugs equals less food for birds. Keep feeders clean and stocked during migration season. By making Florida more bird-friendly, we can help grosbeaks survive on their journey every single year. So when's a good time to look for them? Okay, the final recap. If you want to spot a rose-breasted grosbeak in Florida, here's when to look. In the spring, look in late April to early May heading north, which is true. Mine always tend to show up usually the first couple of days in May in the Florida Keys. In fall, late September to October heading south, and I would say yep, this is correct because the only time that I've seen them is usually early October. Fall is the best chance to see them though for most people. If you're lucky, one might stop by your yard and give you an iconic "I just flew 1,000 miles" for this snack look. But I would have to say for me, I actually see them more often in the spring than I do in the fall. It just depends where you live. So keep your eyes peeled. Alright, so that's a wrap on the rose-breasted grosbeak. These birds are long distance champs, and if you're in South Florida, you've got a front row seat to their journey. So keep those eyes peeled, keep your feeders stocked, and if you spot one, drop a comment below. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more migration stories. Catch you next time. Happy birding!